We heard about Roger Bannister earlier today, the 4-minute mile. Roger Bannister went under the 4-minute mile as a once-in-a-lifetime, or one thing that came first and a lot of people came afterwards. Hockey. I grew up through the 70s and the 80s, and hockey is a men's sport. That's what it was. It was coaches that are men, and it was for boys. That's changing. And sometimes certain things happen that I think everyone should be aware of. Jessica Campbell, who is going to present just in a minute, came to Malmö to coach for a men's team. Due to COVID and different things else, other things that have happened, it was a 1 year or a short time gig. She moved on to the next step. In this past season, she's the first woman to stand behind the bench in the NHL. And breaking barriers. Now, I don't know if you're going to be as well known as Roger Bannister is, because I don't think the hockey world is that big. But I certainly want to give you a round of applause for what you've done.
Thank you.
Breaking barriers, opening up opportunities for other girls, women. Jessica, stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Honestly, you guys, I get a little bit choked up when I come back to Sweden. I obviously, full circle, this is really where my pro coaching career kind of took off and really started, fomented for me. Before we even go into it, though, I think it's important for you guys just to really get, a little glimpse into my journey. I'm just a Canadian kid from a small town. I played boys hockey till I was basically 16 years old. There was no girls teams, and that top corner, I'm the little kid with the blue toque hat, and my mom's actually top left. She coached our boys team. So maybe she was planting it all along, but she was modeling just to show up and do what you love. And that for me at a young age was so formative right through my career to Team Canada. Obviously, my coaching journey from a skating and skills coach, that's what I thought, that's what I envisioned for myself. I wanted to be a power skating coach. I loved it. I loved it so much that I pursued it as soon as my playing career ended. And then I more so blended into player development. Obviously with skating, it's a skill in itself, and the game has changed so much from north directional skating patterns. So I started to expand my offering as a skills coach, but that started coming out here in Malmö. When I finished playing, I worked for a hockey academy for about 2-3 years, and I just knew I was kind of stuck. I knew that I wanted to grow outside. I wanted to take opportunities bigger than what I was doing at the hands of the youth that I was working with. And so fortunately enough, I got an opportunity to head to Malmö, and I worked with the junior teams, and those coaches are here today. And honestly, it means so much to me when I see them, because they're a big part in this journey, really in empowering me as a coach, giving me the tools, giving me the space to come into a very unknown territory, and to receive me with a growth mindset. And something I took from all of the presenters today is just the openness and why we're here. We're here to get better. We're here to wonder and ask ourselves. None of you would have shown up if you didn't want to become a better version of yourself as a person and as a coach, obviously. And so I was given the space to come in and to really extend my knowledge to the Malmö staff. And what happened after that, obviously COVID hit, so we all know that was crazy times. I went back to North America and I started my own company. I knew that if I wanted to do this on my own terms all day, every day, I started my own power skating business. And I started small, and I kept the same guiding principles mantra: no player too big or small. No player too big or small. Do what you love, have the best impact you can, and see where it takes you. And obviously, as the players started to show up, and the caliber of the players started to show up, from youth to junior to then pro, from all different levels, European pros, American Hockey League, and then the NHL players started to show up. And a lot of people have told me along the way, how did you imagine this for yourself? Well, I didn't, because the reality was there was really no visibility of what this looked like. And instead of thinking about a blueprint or the pathway for me to coach at the highest level, That didn't exist. Instead, I said to myself, you know what? Before coming to Malmo, there was a lot of no's. And I'm sure many of you throughout your career, it doesn't matter, leave gender out of this, have heard no's along the way. For me, there was no's that were definitely associated to my differences and the unknown around that. But the reality is I decided to just build my own house and see who would walk into it. But I was in control of my product. I was in control of my approach and my impact. And that was the best feeling in the world as a coach. And so the hands-on experience early on, and then getting to see the NHL group come in, gave me the approval. And you should never need approval by anyone to dream into doing something. But in ways, I did need the nudge and the guidance from the NHL guys. When Brent Seabrook, Shea Weber, some of these veteran guys came to me and they told me, you're going to coach in the NHL. It's not a matter of how it's or when, it's a matter of just how it happens. So keep doing what you're doing. And those guys really gave me permission to believe that it was possible. And so I chased it. And I had to do it in a way that really was very, very different to many coaches. And all of us, we can all come from different walks of life and different experiences. But realistically for me, I had to come through Europe to get my pro experience before I went back to North America and got acknowledged for really the work that I was doing and the way I saw the game. And so I went to Nurnberg as a skills coach as well, and they were struggling on their power play, and the head coach came to me and said, can you help us? So I did kind of what Steve would do. We'll go into Steve in a second. And I did a deep dive, and next thing you know, I was behind the bench, and I was shifting from skills, player development to special teams. My approach was the same, and that shifted for me. I never thought I'd see myself behind a bench, but I realized the strengths that I had as a coach and what made me different actually directly applied to running special teams, which is why I'm now in the position that I am. I worked with Coachella Valley Firebirds in the American League for 2 years, went up to the NHL with the promotion of Dan Baalsma's staff, and been running the power play for the last 3 years. But ultimately, and something with Steve that, is Steve still in here? No, he's left to the goalie world, I believe. One thing about Steve, and he's not as funny as he came off for the hour and a half that he did. He's funny, but I will say this, it is true. Your positive energy and positive approach is completely contagious. And you guys got to feel that. And he is definitely the guy to go to for genius ideas and a positive lift and to keep the room light. But I'm still learning things from him each and every day. And after a year and a half of working with him, and unfortunately the rookie card, I get to share the private jet seat next to him, and he still doesn't know what noise canceling is when I put my headphones in. But we're working past it. But I'm still learning from Steve. And two things he said today to me that stuck out that's going to go into my conversation. And that's really about how bad do you want it? And this comes with me hand in hand in my story. Obviously, I had a passion, but for me, it wasn't about necessarily how bad I wanted it. I just knew how much I loved it. And so starting as a skating coach, and my entry point into the NHL was very different. And there is no blueprint. Like every single journey in the game, whether it's player or coach, it looks different. So don't expect yours to look a certain way. Don't expect to have my story. Yours is going to look different as well. And because I didn't see it or know it was possible, I just followed my passion and my love for the game and teaching. And that's what's kept me grounded. That's what keeps me going every single day. Steve is right. He does beat me there at 5 a.m., but I do stay longer than him. So we're going to get on after that. But then the last thing too, and it's going to feed into this here, your differences is what gives you an edge. And it's going to feed into our power play conversation as well. But what makes you different is your greatest strength. So remember that when you guys leave this conference today, and reflect on who you are as a coach and what makes you different, and especially working in teams and in groups, you got to leverage those differences. If you have the same mind, the same person all around a table, you're probably going to get the same results. You're going to get agreeableness. You're not going to have pushback. You're not going to have new ways to see it. And that's been what my journey's been like, working in the pro game and being embraced for the differences that I bring. I take a huge sense of pride and obviously have a lot of gratitude to get to do what I do every day. And I also feel huge sense of responsibility to do a good job with it, because I know that 2 years ago, the women's washroom, there was no one. Now there's a group of us, and we're growing in a direction that's special. And I just want to give a shout out to all the women in here and people that come from different pathways, because we're on our way. And so it's going to go directly now talking about the power play, feeding the attack by breaking down the penalty kill. Raise your hand if you run the power play or you've worked with the power play in your teams before. Okay, good number of us. How about the penalty kill? Okay, raise your hand if you've done both. Awesome. And head coaches, raise your hand. Awesome. And if you're brave enough, if you've never done the power play or touched this topic before, raise your hand. Okay, everybody's somewhat aware. Love it. Don't have to be shy. Okay, so 3 topics we're going to dive into here, and I'm promising myself we're going to keep this tight and going quick, so please ask questions at the end or come find me. I'm happy to share anything that we talk about today. What puts the power in power play? That's one topic we're going to unpack. I did a study post regular season. I watched every single 5-on-4 power play goal that was scored in the top 10 groups this year, and came up with really a study and a theme of categories of the ways the best power plays are having success. We're going to look at that and understand what the PKs are also doing right now, the top teams, so we can get a good understanding, and then go really into 2 parts, the foundation of building the power play. And my brain works on a micro level. We're going to break it down, so hopefully at any level of which you coach, you guys can take some of these tools, take some mental screenshots to bring it back to your staff, to bring it back to your approach, and hopefully there's some golden nuggets along the way. The last part is just establishing the mentality. We watch the top players in the league dominate, but why do they dominate, and how does that mentality piece feed into it? Which to me, 80% of it is mentality. There's a lot of high-end skill, and players, especially at the level I'm working with, they know how to execute, and if you give them time and space, they will. But there's still, like we alluded to earlier, there's 2%, 3% more of how do we stretch that? How do we get that out of them each and every time the ref's arm goes up? And that's all about feeding the mentality of the power play and establishing that. So first things first, the study. So before we can really dive into the power play, we've got to look at the penalty kill. So these are the 3 types of PKs we're seeing mostly, and everybody has a different way and language. These are the terminologies we use in Seattle. 3 up, pressure PKs in green. You can see majority are in that category. 10 of 15 in the top 15 power penalty kills this season in the NHL were of a pressure identity. That's up ice and that's in zone. Constant pressure. Want to keep the power play to the outside at all costs. Second category in red, the diamond or box, a little bit more passive, a blocking identity, shot lanes, willing to eat pucks. And then the last one is somewhat of a variation of a push down, top down pressure. Some call it a wheel, with more of a skating identity, but again, trigger points for pressure. So we're going to take a look at it here. Edmonton's our focus. We're looking at what these 3 PK types look like. So push down, top down pressure, shots taken. Now you can see when they win this puck back through the middle, immediately Edmonton's looking again to cut the top, to force this puck to stay on half, and they're going to keep their pressure pushing down. What's going to open them up and create that seam for Vegas here to capitalize on. Breaks them down, now they scramble, opens up the top. Second category, very similar. Now this is top-down pressure, so looks pretty similar to a wheel with Calgary's in black. Again, blocking identity, but difference here is these guys like to defend the dot lanes, and again, want to keep the power play on half sheet. They don't want to give up seams. They don't want this puck to go to the top. That's where they're vulnerable. But after this shot was taken, they have a breakdown here, and they're duplicating in the middle. Typically, they want to deny that seam through the middle. But again, it's about defending the dots and forcing pucks to the bottom where they can get a kill and a clear below the hash. Now we're looking at the diamond box. Again, much more passive, tighter, collapsed. Again, you're going to see Utah here in black, have to move it up and over, shooting mentality, and there's a willingness to eat pucks, block pucks, and then for them, a lot more clear trigger points of when to pressure, when to go, when to not go, and obviously rebounds, blocked pucks, 50-50s, is a trigger for them to be aggressive, to go. And now you can see Utah scrambling to win it back, and they find success beating their return. The most interesting category, and this is going to be the depth of our conversation around the power play today, is around the pressure PK. Raise your hand if you do coach the power play and you have to deal with a lot of pressure, because I know different rinks, different sizes, penalty kills aggressive. We tend to deal with a lot at the NHL level, and so obviously in the top 15, 67% have that pressure identity. Up ice and in zone, what they really want to do is they want the power play to force turnovers and have a sense of urgency where they never feel good. And that's what I say anytime we play these teams, these 3-up PKs, and you're going to see it, it's not going to feel good. I always tell our power players, it's not going to feel good, it's going to look different every time, but we've got to be ready to attack exactly what we're given and when they're broken. So the mentality is to break them, but it also requires a level of urgency and work. And that's just a foundational mentality piece we'll go into, but here's a look at it. We're looking at the team in white, 3-up pressure identity. You can see 3 guys ready to go. It's a 50-50 on the yellow. We get there, but they're coming. At all costs, they're forcing us to scramble to sort this out to win it back, and they keep their pressure. You can see the guy in the middle is already stretching out at the top, overextending, and it does give a lot of low play looks from these looks, like I said. And now there's a sense of urgency from Matty, number 10. He's got to beat his check to the back post, and that's the look that's going to open up. If we don't work, it doesn't open up. Now it's a low play. You can see the 3-on-2, and we beat him to the back post. Another look at it with Washington. They do an exceptional job of this. Starting on entry, there's their pressure with 2. You can see Tampa and White has to work to get into good spots, but even F2 in the middle of the rink's already on him, ready to jump. Now it goes to the top, and there's their 3 guys ready to pressure up and out to push him to the outside, and Tampa's got to work back into spots where they can now attack and expose him. Obviously, this is one of the most elite players in the world on the wall. He knows where this puck's going, but it's immediately through their pressure on net where they can capitalize on a rebound. So this study, what puts the power in power play? And we're going to look here at the top 10 groups. And what this study showed me, presented to me, was really how are the goals going in the NHL this season. This is 2024, 2025. This does not include 5-on-3, 6-on-5, or 6-on-4. So if you're looking for 5-on-3 tips, find me later. But this is 5-on-4, ultimately starting in red, face-off goals. From a set face-off play or a goal that was scored within 10 seconds of the puck dropping, whether it was a win or loss. On entry, attacking within 5 seconds of gaining the zone. In green is the clean look. So that's a category that, to put us all on the same page, power play is full possession. Has got set up, the PK's in their set, shot is taken, seam, up and over, low play, doesn't matter, may have net front, screen. It's a clean look where the power play has their full possession and nothing else has happened. Doesn't matter if they're in a 1-3-1 spread look or an overload, it's from a clean look. Then the 2 categories in blue are from pressure breaks. So a break in pressure when the PK has now established their pressure, power play exposes it, attacks their vulnerabilities, and creates off of it right away. And the last category in blue is a secondary attack. This category is important for all of us to walk away remembering. Secondary attack meaning a goal that was scored off of initial shot attempt. So shot attempt, puck recovery, broken PK, re-attack, secondary look. And then the last is just the pink category, broken plays, stick breaks, skate blade falls out, things happen. I just threw that in the other broken categories. So that's the things that just happen along the way where power plays can get lucky. So just to categorize this so you guys can see, face-off. Set play by Chicago in red, up and over, within 10 seconds, goal. That's the face-off category. Entry, looking at Winnipeg here in white. On the rush, 4 guys entering with speed. Score within 5 seconds of gaining the zone against the PK. Clean look. This is now important to distinguish. Vegas is in yellow we're looking at against a diamond. They're in their set. Everyone's in their spots. Vegas isn't forcing anything. Eichel's a master at this. Don't have it, they work to the backside where they get a tap in. Pressure break. 2 categories, the last 2 that we're going to really dive into here. This pressure break, obviously you can see in black, Detroit's having to deal with their pressure, pushing them to the outside where they double to try to cut the top, force a turnover. Now Detroit exposes that pressure, creates a quick look for a low 2-on-1 where they create and they have success. Last look, secondary attacks, looking at Tampa in blue. And again, I understand these guys are elite playmakers, ability, but here's the first attack. Guy on the back post, puck's going to the net, puck's going inside. Shot is taken. Now it's a 50-50 puck. You can see Colorado's going. There's their trigger. Their D are jumping it. He makes a quick play through Makar into the middle, and it's immediately over empty net. Looks easy, and how do they make that look that easy? So the study presented this. We don't need to dive into it. You guys can get access to this if you'd like from me, but top 2 categories accounted for over 54% of the goals. You might think that power plays get into their set, and it's all about getting confidence, making the plays, snapping it around. It works that easy. What's actually really important to shine light here is just the emphasis on dealing with pressure, dealing with what the PK is presenting, and ultimately, you can see really only Vegas was the team that I think picked apart the details the most against the PK. Pretty much everybody else was strongest in the category of having, one, a plan to deal with pressure and an urgency to attack right away, and then just a shooting mentality. Meat and potatoes. Shoot the puck, break them down, re-attack. Shoot the puck. So the quicker you can embrace that and get to that is critical to finding success, or at least within the top 10. So what does this study tell us about the power play? Really, ultimately, is we need to have a foundation to deal with pressure. And it doesn't really matter your skill set or your team personnel. You're going to get the pressure. I think at times, certain players get respect with pressure because they know Kucherov's probably going to slip it underneath if 2 guys double. Doesn't matter what he sees, he will make those plays. Therefore, he may get a little bit more respect in time and space, but these PK triggers are clear, and there's probably a lot of commonalities that we're going to talk about. So we have to have a plan against pressure. This is a golden nugget. I got actually advice from a coach, an NHL coach this year. I won't name names, but this goes to just coaching in general. Your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness. I'll say that again. Your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness. Be aware of how it can be used against you with effort to be your best self. If I flip that to the power play and the penalty kill, how do we take what the PK does best and use it against them? Ultimately, that's the goal. That's what our job is as coaches, is to find those vulnerabilities, find those weaknesses, and flip it to the power play. And so the process continues. And we're just going to watch and roll these clips here so you guys can see these are all the top 10 groups. And you're going to see some trends. And we're going to unpack those trends by giving you guys some tactics to take home to hopefully be able to apply this to your group. So ultimately, it starts on face-offs. First opportunity for a 50-50 puck to be won. Number 1, the power play needs to be on their toes, needs to be ready to work. You can see Toronto here. They have elite talent, but 3 guys are jumping in to ensure that this is their puck. They don't want to go down the rink. And now there's a commitment to shooting mentality. Routing to the net immediately, or the goalie can't track it and find it. Within 4 seconds, 50-50 in the back of the net. Winnipeg, same thing, starts on face-offs. You can see the commitment to going to the net, shot mentality, and Connor here driving to the backside where he knows that puck is going. Predictability to the game plan, whether it's scouted or not, he knows that's where the puck's going to land on a secondary attack, shooting for the far pad. On entry, again, Winnipeg. A lot of people talked about Winnipeg early on when they came out of the gates, how good their power play was, why they were so good. Well, starts with the predictability for them. On entry, it's a shooting mentality. 3 guys are going to the net. Outnumbering at the net, around the net, inside, leads to now a quick broken play, a chance for that first initial shot now to be recovered with good puck support. Now they can feed a secondary attack before Chicago can recover. Colorado, obviously unbelievable talent in this group, dangerous through McKinnon, and this is on entry. But before we even get there, you can see just the predictability to fill spots. can drop that puck knowing they're finishing at the top, to shooting mentality, second, now third, attack. That's relentless. Again, with Pittsburgh, now this is a sort out. Again, it's late in the power play, 25 seconds left. It's a sort out, there's a scramble. Now it's a 50-50 puck. They outwork the PK, but you can see again the urgency, the arrows to get inside. When this puck goes over right away, he knows he's shooting it and he knows he's got numbers inside. Whether that's on his tape or on the pad, he's got numbers that have a chance at winning that. Again, a look at Winnipeg. Now we're going to see a bit more of a passive PK with Philly. 5 guys connected. This is where the pretty goals start to develop, but they're all connected. And whether it's a low play, play inside of the bumper, that front D is exposed, is in a vulnerable position of where this puck goes. Maybe they're duplicating on Connors here, but the reality is Scheifele's the key. The far side flank with the arrow, he knows, again, that puck's going inside, it's going to the net, it's going to the far pad, and he's going to be landing exactly where that puck can hit his stick, and it's an automatic goal. Predictable to themselves, not to their scout. And ultimately, again, another look at Minnesota, more passive, blocking, diamond. Cale Makar, I believe he led the league in scoring as a defenseman. Shooters score at the end of the day. Don't forget that. It's meat and potatoes, but shooters do score. Got to shoot the puck, got to be willing to shoot the puck, and have the courage to shoot through screens, through numbers, where it's a challenge for the goalie to find and track this puck. But again, there's numbers inside. Even if this is a rebound, Blue has a chance on that puck, but now the skill can go to work. And I just want to highlight this skill because this is detail for a good bumper play. Shades over, gives F2 a tap, makes him aware of him. He thinks he has him covered. He's got a share at the top, clearly, defending the dots. And now he's going to sneak away from him where McKinnon can now read and slip him one inside where he's no longer covered. That's definitely elite thinking, but little details that matter. Tampa here. A lot of people talk about Tampa as an example of handedness, of where do you put guys, one-timers, downhill. They've always had kind of the perfect handedness to their skill sets, which has made them lethal for a long time, but you're going to see really a willingness to shoot the puck and re-attack. First shot attempt, second shot attempt, third. Rangers are doing a hell of a job blocking, scrambling to stay with it. Now they can pick them apart when they can't recover. And this does not go in on a tap-in. It goes in on staying in the paint. That's the duty of a great net front presence. Stay with it. And this, to me, is also a shooting mentality. If what they're giving you is a low play, and I know a lot of goalies and goalie coaches, I'm not going to go into a debate with you guys about this, but a lot of the PKs definitely give this to the goalie, and goalie should make this save on the post, attacking off the goal line, but just getting a puck in there with numbers. Willingness to shoot, willingness to attack. Now they can recover it, and now you can see Columbus immediately ready to pressure. Backs are turned, creates a secondary attack, breaks them down. They can't recover, and he shoots through pressure, through numbers. Last clip here with Toronto. It's the same thing. You're going to see the Edmonton's wheel, their top-down pressure, using the middle, which is the key to break the wheel, to push down through the middle, back to the top. Now Domi invites the pressure, invites the push down. And anytime you get pucks back to the top against a wheel, they're always in a vulnerable position where there's a lane. You can see Riley gets this puck inside, and it's where their numbers are. So working to get inside, and obviously the commitment to the hard areas to find it. So second part of this, building the foundation. This is a tactic that I've been using for about 3 to 4 years, started in Coachella Valley with our American League team, still what we do in Seattle, building a foundation that creates predictability and trust for the power play so that we as coaches don't have to tell them, don't want to tell them, but shouldn't have to tell them the looks that they're going to get. From these, what I call power play autos, they're going to have predictability to just see and attack what's given to them. And that's where the creativity can take over. And it's a process. You can find ways to also do it in practice, but it's the biggest challenge for the power play to have something to go to when shit hits the fan or when it's not working. I always come back to watching our foundation and making sure that these pieces are in place so that we can build off of. So ultimately, this is the mental diagram. You can take a picture or take a mental screenshot. It shouldn't be too hard to remember, but automatic spots, not automatic plays. The 4 areas on the wall on the strong side and the weak side, these are all auto spots. And this is typically from your 1-3-1, so your middle support should always be typically your bumper. Not always the case, but typically is your bumper. Your bottom guy is usually your net front. Your top is your quarterback. And then your guy on the wall where the puck would be, that's usually typically your flanks. And then your weak side flanks are responsible for the far side. What's critical about this picture is understanding the PK. And we just talked about the PK and the study and pressure and the mentality we're dealing with. 50-50 pucks present an opportunity for the PK to go. And I'm sure the PK coaches in here are like, yep, automatic, we're going here, backs are turned, whether this is a rimmed puck or how it gets here. Rims, rebounds, backs, and bobbles are typically the 50-50 situations that the PK is coming. So I like to coach our guys to take pride into working into autos so that, again, they have an automatic touch without thinking that the play is there or not. If we do our jobs and we work, we should have outlets, and this is about release points, but it's also about attacking from these spots. And you're going to see a lot of examples then through the video. Like I said, there's our typical PK pressure points. May have a little few adjustments outside of that we scout by opponent or that we identify, okay, this D's more aggressive, he's got a longer stick, he'll go. That's the stuff you look for as a coach, but typically this is where we're seeing the pressure come from. And again, like I said, it's pride working into the spot. So starting with rebounds, we talked about a shooting mentality. If you want to establish a shot, you better be ready to work for the secondary attack. So rebounds, this is a go by Minnesota. PK trigger, he's coming. Raymond knows, he's got 2 guys on his back. There's the autos. Play inside to the middle. It's a release point. Larkin can now work it over to Sider. You can see the urgency now to attack the quick low play as Minnesota sorts out their returns. Same thing with rims. We don't encourage rim outs in Seattle. We don't love pucks on the yellow because we're asking the pressure to just reroute and come. It's not to say that we don't use it as a release point when you have to rim it, but again, like you got to be prepared to work to support across the rink. And so these autos work on the strong side and work all the way across the rink. So this puck's going to be rimmed out here. Vegas is in yellow, Nashville's in white. You can see again, automatic, they're coming. Now he anticipates, knows his back's turn. He's got auto support, not an automatic play, but he finds his outlet. They work through it, he's got numbers, and now it creates a quick low 2-on-1 against a very aggressive, great penalty kill that relies on their pressure to find their success. Another look at rims here with Winnipeg and Navy. Columbus is going to be aggressive here. It's on the yellow, PK trigger. Immediately back to the top, and you can see the shooter. There's the weak side auto. Is Connor standing wide open alone, and the quicker he can get the puck, quicker he can go in the back of the net. Leave a goal scorer, pure goal scorer, left alone with time and space. He will do exactly just that. Backs, another look here. Dallas is an aggressive PK that starts with their up ice. Their identity in zone is they're going to stay on it. So it's a bobbled puck, backs are turned. You can see both forwards here ready to jump. Now Winnipeg can not only have the release point, they can expose it from a shot mentality right into the bumper, and it's on net in the back of the net. That's a clear example of a pressure break goal. Detroit, backs are turned. There's Calgary, wants to be aggressive. They defend the dots. Now you can expose their their D and their strong side forward here, trying to find this kill zone below the hash, force them to quickly attack, but you can see the autos there, top, middle, bottom. They come through the bottom, and it's an automatic play through Anderson's stick here, where now he's got to take that 2-on-1. Bobbles, again, just this predictability here for me is key. So this puck goes low, it's a bobbled puck, he's got to handle it. He knows his bumper's inside through the middle, and it's a touch immediately over to his shooter that he trusts and knows is going to be shot ready. But ultimately with Pittsburgh, we're watching here, the foundation is what creates the predictability. It's not going to look the same every time. It shouldn't look the same every time, but now Crosby's anticipating that we've worked over, it's inside, and it's immediately to where that puck can beat the goaltender on the far post. Okay, so how to build this now into more frameworks. Face-offs are a key element. Well, obviously, one, to winning possession. Nobody wants to go down the rink and break it out. That's where we have success to start. So the mentality, and I always tell our guys, treat every face-off like it's a loss. We've got to be on our toes, and we're planning for a loss with still a plan to win it, whether it's a set play or what our look's going to be, but we have to feed that mentality so that we're on our toes. In this picture here, you're going to see 50-50, one back to Vegas, but it's LA in white, 3 up PK. They're going to extend high and out. And now Eichel's got to work through it, and you can see the autos start to be filled. Middle helps, supports it out. And now Hanifin has an option. He's got a weak side shooter. The low bottom auto works back to the net, and he has options. He looks for quick strike inside where he has success, but he can go over with that as well. But before LA can recover, he moves it. With Toronto here, now it's a loss. They jump, they go, they force Nashville. Maybe they get a little lucky here, but they force them to maybe move it quicker, make a shitty play. And now Marner can keep it in, but they're still struggling here. Matthews has to handle this puck, allows Nashville to keep their pressure, but now they can expose it. From their autos, back to the top, through the middle, and before they can recover, he turns and looks to attack with a great net front presence or an option over to Nylander. Another look, loss, jump, 2 guys on the puck, they stay with it. Now they can support and win this back over, and Utah has to respect the shot lane. Gives that look to Nylander. There is a level of urgency in all of these clips, as you can see. With Seattle, we coach it a lot, especially through training camp. This is a 50-50 puck right on the hash. Our centerman works right into the middle. Obviously, our D's on top, but our inside forward lines up on the hash. His route is always to bypass to the net, then to the bottom. So now this play comes on the wall. When Chandler wins this puck through the middle, he knows he has an automatic play to break him, and he's going to find the shooter through. This is a good example of the bypass play. Can use to your advantage, whether it's a win or not, but if you've got pressure immediately, especially when strong side D jumps the half wall, just watching Gensel here, his inside route, thinking net. Actually, his first step is inside to help this out. Then they win it back, and he reroutes to the net. And as they attack the strong side, they just bypass. Let it go to the bottom, where he now can look for his options. Guys are defended. He looks to take it to the net himself. Whether he gets lucky or not, there's a willingness to take that puck to the bottom and break their pressure. Last clip of autos here, and you'll see it with Vegas. It's another look at Nashville, one of the most aggressive teams. They got long reaches, long sticks, create a lot of turnovers. Skill guys have to deal with it a lot. You can see there's an automatic play where he bypasses and lets us just go to the bottom. And you're going to see a 3-on-2 develop immediately. Quick touch inside, urgency to the shooter, shot ready. Same mentality applies for us on entry. So however you break the puck in, it doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about up ice. But it is critical that your plan on entry with your routes, or your landmarks, I like to call them, have a plan to break the pressure and also be able to attack on the entry. So for us, we fill the top, middle, and bottom, just like you saw. The weak side route is always responsible for the rim out if needed. Again, we don't promote it. If you want to look at a team that's exceptional at using just an auto release to the weak side, Florida Panthers do it almost automatic on any entry, and they're so good on handling pucks off the wall that they can do it to beat the PK right away. If your team's a lead on the wall in those touches, go for it. But I would say then in that case, you got to reroute your top auto to the far side so that they have that support option and just change the picture. But for us, there's pride in these routes, and it's always clear on whatever breakout we're doing. This is from a drop breakout. We kick it, we drive to the bottom, we have middle inside support. So you're going to see a look at it here. Against Canadians, very aggressive on entry. We got 4 guys entering with speed. He kicks this out. Borky pulls up and knows they're coming. He's got to invite the pressure. He's got to have a sense of poise right now to be able to make a play and trust. We're finishing our routes, whether it's a touch to the middle or to the top. And now Monty whether he gets lucky or not without a net front presence, there's a shooting mentality, and we're trying to capitalize on them being aggressive on entry. Same look here with Winnipeg. Cross and drop, he kicks it out. Now he's going to drive to the bottom. There's a level of work to the bottom, work to the middle, and it's a mentality. Wins it back, auto play to the top, looking back to shoot and attack right away. All of these are just examples to reinforce the message. We kick. You can see Berkey here commits to driving to the bottom, so Canner can now keep it moving, knows he's going to continue on. But Maddie also works to the middle to be that release point. And as you can see, Tolvey starts to anticipate we're winning this puck. He's not staying on the wall. He's not anticipating a rim out. He's starting to cheat now, and that's the read part where they've got to have that feel go. Creates a great look, doesn't end up in the back of the net, but that's the pieces we want to see. And it's going to look different every single time, and it should, but have a plan in place with your routes to be able to create that predictability. You're going to see a quick up with Vegas here. Maybe they're catching Boston outside the dots. They have a post up, but you can see Stone here. Very, very good thinker. Can make plays through pressure. He invites the pressure. 2 guys on his hip, but now Eichel works inside, to the top, to the middle, and over, and it looks easy. Colorado, same thing. Come in a lot of speed. Invite 2 guys. Automatic play into the middle to Rantanen. He knows he's got his shooter on the far side where they can capitalize on entry. Now there's 16 seconds left. Second units come out. Chips it by the D. We're trying to create something out of nothing. Maybe we got to use a rim out. Love this picture from Berkey now. He puts it on the yellow, but it's Schwartzy's job to know across the rink that this puck is his. He's got to be responsible to win this puck, and if he can create anything out of it, he's looking to. So now he wins this puck, and he's automatically looking over to Canner on the far side, and we work back to the net from our autos. That's a weak side rim release if needed to use. And then just last picture, this is also the bypass play that we talk about from the face-off. So we have a bit more now control. Ebbs holds on to this, but we know again it's Montreal, they're coming hard. They're going to come with 2. Now Monty just puts this to the bottom, and Maddie just lets it go through. Trust that Ebbs is going to stay at the bottom. And the anticipation for the 2-on-1. Going to watch it out because that's the look of your first NHL goal. Young Finnish guy, love it. Can't beat that. Which takes me to the last category. So can have the foundational piece, but you can't just rely on it. There's other pieces and elements that now come into feeding this beast. We want to see this beast of a power play develop. How do you get your guys to embrace the attacking mindset? So for me, obviously understanding that 54%, over half of goals are being scored from a break in pressure, it's obviously clear that we have to have a plan in place to deal with it. Not only deal with it, expose it, but in addition to that, encouraging and establishing a shooting mentality, it's actually simpler than you think. I think the power play can be a very scary thing, like I said, for coaches to think about. There's a lot of pieces from up ice, in zone, face-off sets, handedness, there's ways to just get overwhelmed with it. But if you break it down to really the elements that feed the mentality, it has to start with a willingness to shoot the puck. I know that comes back to shooters score, but they do. And the guys that are willing to shoot, the guys that want to get set up and want it to feel all good, we have those battles as well in Seattle. Like, we try to kind of get that out of our system and encourage shooting mentalities. There's different ways you can incorporate that on face-offs and just having expectations with your goals. But for me, the first things first, shooter's mindset, and whether it's net front presence directly in the eyes of the goaltender or more of a flash approach. If you have more of a skill, low play guy that can release on the goal line and is really good and tight, you can have more of a mentality of being around the net. But what's critical is that you have numbers at the net, around the net, and inside when you establish a shot, which obviously requires work and an identity and a buy-in piece from your net front guy, regardless of their skill set. Obviously, like we talked about, puck support, taking pride in puck support. I always talk about the penalty kill being the power kill. Well, why? Force the power play to have to work, to be good, and ultimately takes all the gas out of the power play. So puck support is critical, and then what you saw in a lot of those clips, puck speed, urgency. Not only quick puck speed, but execution. If you got a one-timer, put it in his wheelhouse. Don't just throw it around, hot potato. Puck speed and execution just feeds the cycle. Now you can get it, shoot it, win it back, re-attack. Get it, shoot it, win it, re-attack, get it back. Feeds the attack, feeds the beast. And you're going to see that here with these clips. Shooter's mindset. Shot, creates a broken play, pressure's coming, automatic, inside, before they can recover, empty net. Shooter's mindset. Shot first, willing to shoot through a screen, shoot for a stick, automatic support through the middle to the top, Islander scramble, potentially duplicate on the bumper, opens them up, forces the PK to communicate their exchanges when that look opens. Winnipeg, shooter's mindset. When they win this puck back, can again see Dallas trying to be aggressive, that potentially is their trigger point to go. Now there's a willingness to work to the far side, create the 3-on-2 and attack what they see. Don't think that's a scouted play, that's just thinking and playing hockey and finding what's available and attacking what's available. Same thing here with Berkey. Shooter's mindset, get it to the net, shoot for Ebbs' stick, shoot for his leg, shoot for his stick. Hyman does probably the best job of that in Edmonton if you want to look at extending the net from your net front guy. Now again, would love us to be right in his eyes, but it's a shot mentality and you can see us working into our autos. We win it back. Again by Berkey, same look opens up. Now it's in our favor. New Jersey, much like Edmonton, likes to skate. A lot of these small skilled guys that can make plays on the move, tons of movement. Opens them up. Probably should have been in a goal, but it's not. Now it's a 50-50. Columbus doubles. Immediate support in through the middle bumper. And now this is key part of the net front presence I wanted to talk about. I always talk about with our guys denying sight line of pass or shot. Depending on what we're scouting or what's available. You can see here he denies the sight line. Goalie has to work to find it. Quickly opens up a low play. Same thing with Jersey here, shooter's mindset. And this is net front presence. When they win this puck back, you can see the willingness to one, get to the net, cannot see the goalie. This is doing your job and also the courage and willingness to shoot through it. Some players fade away from wanting to shoot this puck and want to give it back over the top. Just a willingness to get it there. If you can find a lane, those are miserable goals and looks for the goaltender. Again, bobbled puck. Now Capitals are going to be aggressive, ready to go. Quick 2-on-1 at the net, they attack it. Secondary attack. You can see the duplication by Washington. Now they're forcing who's got the top. Now we've got a line of 2 from the bumper in the net front working to the net, which creates numbers inside and presence for the goalie to deal with. Last couple pictures here again, shooter's mindset, first shot attempt. Second shot attempt. Now Tampa scrambles, shit's gonna happen, falls down, but you can see they're broken down and they've got 3 guys around the net. That doesn't go in on the one-timer. There's good odds of him winning that puck back inside. From the face-off here with Vegas, shooter's mindset, 2 guys going to the net for a second, win it back. Much like the last clip, you can see the sort out here happening of Anaheim in orange, line of 2. And just urgency up, over, numbers inside, and they get rewarded. Last picture here, this is the foundation of everything. So obviously someone asked me this earlier, or before this conversation, how much freedom do you give to the power play, or how much knowledge do you tell them what to do with the scout? We have so many resources to give the guys basically all the information they need to know, and that's part of the plan and our job as coaches, but we can overcomplicate it. I think I'm my biggest critic, and I think it's important to acknowledge where's the pressure coming, where are the vulnerabilities, scout those differences by teams, whether you play 82 games in a regular season or not, identify those clear points that the power play can be ready for, prepared for, giving them success. But ultimately, you can see from the foundation, it just allows the players to play. So I always tell our guys, work into your spots, attack what's given. Now it's through the middle, up, over, whether that's a scouted play or not, that's what they're going to give Vegas, this is one of the most aggressive PKs. It's always an unorthodox picture with Chicago. They're one of the best teams with their PK. And so ultimately just creating that predictability so you give the power back to the skill guys, the thinkers, to just attack what you see. I'm not in the moment as your coach. I can't tell you the play to make. You see it, make it, and let's coach around it and through it. So really the key takeaways for me and thinking points for you guys, obviously understand the type of PKs you're dealing with, and we deal with a lot of pressure. If you deal with more pushdowns, again, expose their vulnerabilities. Comes back to that quote. Their greatest strength is their greatest weakness. How you expose it and attack their strength, if it's their pressure, make it your power. Feed the cycle, shoot, recover, re-attack. Simple does work, but the details do matter. If you're just trying to say shoot the puck and you have no net front presence, no one go in the net, you're not going to have a lot of success. The question I challenge you guys to think about too when you leave is, when the power play isn't clicking, where do you go to? Do you go to the guys? Do you go to your players? Do you adjust their spots, their handedness? Do you make a million changes? Or how do you watch back what's not working? And I challenge you guys to look at or build a foundation that you can manipulate. For me, it's really easy. We discuss this stuff in training camp. So when we're working into the season, I try to build it up a ton. Get their buy-in of, yep, we have success here. But also on the flip side of that, when we don't have success, it's pretty easy in a meeting to, video doesn't lie, like, we didn't work. They outworked us, they got their clear, and it's from these spots. So there's an accountability piece that you give by having that work-based foundation. But the ultimate goal is obviously to be predictable to yourselves and not to your opponent. Just in closure, I think it's really important. I'm extremely, extremely grateful for your guys' time. I'm extremely grateful to be able to talk to you guys about hockey. I get questions about a lot of other things, as you can imagine, but ultimately, this is what it's about. This is a young kid, a young girl. Her mom sent me this, and I think it's a themed birthday party, but what you're doing and your voice as a coach matters. Your impact, your words, your way to communicate carries weight, and there's power and there's privilege in that. So be very reflective, especially through the off season, when you can come into a clean slate team opportunity through training camp to really think about how your passion, your purpose, and your knowledge can obviously lead to the best preparation for your team, because that's what it's all about. That's what they care about. That's what players want to know. Create that buy-in, and I guarantee you guys are going to be better for it. Thank you so much for having me.
Jessica, I have a question. We listened to Steve talk about him, and he said something to the effect of, very clearly, that I don't let the head coach talk to the goalies. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with Dan Biles' mother, head coach of your Seattle Kraken? Do you talk to him, or does he talk to you about the power play often, or how's your communication regarding your job and his job? Yeah, obviously there's definitely communication. There's communication in the personnel, who's best where. We're Seattle, we have more of a unique power play makeup. We don't have the OV one-timer necessarily where that's a spot. We got guys that are good in lots of different spots, so there's conversations obviously around those decisions. Some guys come out of the lineup, which affects also, not typically our power play guys, but it happens. But pretty much he lets me work on my own, and then I, again, ask as much questions. Steve is awesome because his goalie's your best resource. If you're trying to score goals, I show him a clip, I'm like, hey, and then he pulls 10 more of, especially pre-scout, he'll give me the goalie we're seeing. He's like, if you look at his pad, right? So then I'm now telling our guys on the goal line, let's attack it, let's expose it. This is a vulnerability. So we're working in tandem all the time on goal scoring, but it is really important, and something I've valued in my role and my experience is being empowered to have the space to be prepared to do the work and to present the plan. So if you're a head coach in a position, I encourage you and I challenge you to really empower your staff, because they're all valuable. And if you try to take away that power, it is a tough feeling to experience. It doesn't bring the team and the staff closer. Thank you, Jessica.
Absolutely. Thank you.